Now, the interesting thing is, if we stop to think about this, and if we could knock out enough of the cloud cover to be able to see it clearly and be clear on what would really make us happy, so to speak, what would really be fun for us, what would really float our boat, we might see some really interesting things. As an example, there are a lot of people that I know who have a very successful business from a business game, money game perspective. They're making plenty of money. They have a really nice lifestyle. They're taking good care of their family. They have a lot of freedom. They're having a certain amount of fun in running their business, kind of a thing. But they still have this more and more and more thing. But the reality is they're really having fun exactly the way it is. And a lot of times when you do the more and more and more, you get the more and more and more, the bigger, 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 the more and more whatever, the dynamic changes and it isn't as fun anymore. And you really were having a lot more fun when you were smaller. But we get caught up in all these kinds of things. And the other thing I want to say is, a lot of times what I'm about to say is given lip service. But it isn't really focused on it, isn't really a priority, even though people will talk about it. Because the more and more and more, bigger, 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 want to feel powerful and worthwhile and strong and wise and abundant, that all these dynamics are so strong that even if what I'm about to talk about gets into the space, it's very weak. And it usually doesn't even get into the space. And that's what I'm talking about is fun. Fun. It gets so lost in the greater scheme of things. We don't ask ourselves, am I having fun right now? If I make this decision, if I make that decision, if we double our sales, if we double our staff, if we double our profits, if we do this or this, am I going to have more fun? Now, we may have an opinion that we would and we wouldn't, so it's hard to know and it's hard to predict the future in the game, so to speak. But so few people even ask the question. Now, as long as there's a lot of cloud cover in place from the phase one dynamics, even if you decide, okay, I'm going to start paying attention, I want to have more fun, and you start looking at your decisions and you start saying, will I have more fun if I do this or should I do that? Your ability to really do that is limited until you knock out a certain amount of the cloud cover in playing the phase two game. But it's a start to simply start to go there at the same time that if you choose to, you're using the tools to knock out the cloud cover to really get you to the place where you can be doing everything just for the pure fun of it with no more attachment to the more and more and more, bigger, bigger, bigger goals, outcomes, money, all these kinds of dynamics weaken and drop away when you get into that place and they all just take care of themselves. But then it becomes about the fun. But what I'd like to invite you to do right now is to the best of your ability, and it may be limited if you got a lot of cloud cover in places, start to think about these things. When you find yourself pushing to achieve some sort of a more and more and more, bigger, 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 whatever it is, kind of a dynamic, just stop and ask yourself, to the best of your ability, why am I doing this? What is it that I think I'm going to get out of this? And just see where it takes you. As you're pushing to create the more and more and more, bigger, 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 more successful kinds of dynamics, and you're doing things to try and build it, to grow it, to do these things, to stop and say, am I having fun doing this? Am I enjoying the actual steps that I'm taking? I'll just call it from 9 to 5 every day when I'm trying to build my business, if it's your own business, or build your career if you work for someone else. Am I having fun doing this stuff? Now, it's so easy to say, well, I'm just going to work my ass off now, and I'm going to build my business or my career and my income or my net worth or whatever it is to a certain level, and then when I get there, then I can have fun, But the reality is, with very few exceptions, that day never comes. It's a constantly moving target, and you're constantly sacrificing the fun and the pleasure and the other kinds of dynamics towards this imaginary day when, well, then I can relax and just enjoy myself, and it never happens. Or you create so many side effects towards getting there that when you do get there, and you could in fact enjoy it, theoretically, you can't practically, because there's a health problem, there's a relationship problem, there is an emptiness kind of a problem, relationships weren't built, so there's a loneliness kind of a thing, whatever it is. When you get to the point that the money's there and the freedom is there and other kinds of things are there and you could really be enjoying yourself and making it about the fun, you can't. Or you're so addicted to the game and the more, gimme, bigger, bigger, bigger dynamic that you can't let go of that. You can't just relax. So you dive right back into it, and even though you had the freedom and you had the abundance and you had the technical ability, theoretical ability to be able to have fun now, you dive back in and you give that all back in a sense. You put it all on the shelf and you get right back into the game. So a lot of seeds I wanted to plant in this particular post. One, to the best of your ability, stop yourself from time to time when you're going, pushing to try and do the bigger, more, gimme, using your customers as a way to give you something that you want, instead of just having fun, running your business, doing your career, interacting with your customers as a fun thing, with the money taking care of itself naturally flowing out of that. When you find yourself caught up in the game, in the illusion, in the lies, and the myths, and this more thing, stop yourself from time to time and just ask yourself, why am I doing this? What's my goal? What's my outcome? Where do I think this is going to take me? And see what opening that door sets into motion for you. And if you're playing the Phase 2 game right now, you'll have the opportunity to use the tools with what comes up and when you're feeling these kinds of things. And the other question to ask yourself is, am I having fun? Am I having fun with what I'm doing here? And if you're not, again, if you're playing the Phase 2 game, you have the opportunity to begin using the tools and all the dynamics that flow out of that. And if you found your way to this website and you're not playing the Phase 2 game, explore the resources page and some of the other links, and you can find out more about how to begin playing the Phase 2 game and using these tools to change these kinds of dynamics.